Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 ah, yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know.
Everybody, welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio for a Saturday night, November 3rd, 2012. This week is going to be very important here in New Mexico and all over the country, actually, with the election. Before we get to the election, I do want to say that, a couple weeks ago we had Dr. Llewellyn on, who wants to take PTSD off of the list here as an approved condition in New Mexico. And it's very controversial. I think we learned a lot that night about who he is and where what his position is. But this is the week. So Wednesday at 1 o'clock at the Runnels Building, which is over at the corner of St. Francis and Alta Vista, downstairs in the auditorium. 1 o'clock. Everybody needs to be there. We need to have a show of force and let them know that he can't do this. And I'm feeling really good about what's been going on and what I've been hearing. I really don't think this can happen, but we can't be complacent. We got to get out there and show that. So again, Wednesday, 1 p.m. at the Runnels Building over at the Department of Health. Let's get everybody there. Bring friends too. Let's fill the place. And then of course the election is this week. If Romney gets in, I mean we're really screwed. Hopefully they'll give Obama another term, and he owes us from statements he made 4 years ago. So let's hope that we can change this thing around and get things going. Colorado, Oregon, Washington, they're all have initiatives to legalize marijuana. And I will be live right here on MMJRadio on Tuesday night, probably starting around 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And we'll just keep going. We'll cover the election, the national election. We'll cover the legalization measures as well. We'll play some music. We'll hang out. You can call in. It'll be a lot of fun. So let's move over to our strain availability for this. Oh, by the way, our guest this evening will be Nima from Cannaceutics, one of the first 10 licensed producers here in New Mexico. I had the privilege of being on his board when he was approved and for his first year, and when they changed the rules and said I could only be on one board, I had to resign from that one and stay with Sacred Garden, which is where I work. So again, Nima will be calling in at about 10 after the hour in about 7 minutes or so. The numbers are on the screen. Let's hope that we can take your calls today as well. And let's go right to the strain availability, which is becoming very popular. Each week at the top of the show, we will read the strains that are available at different producer distributors here in New Mexico, the ones that email us, and the ones that the producers that will have some strains coming up in the next coming week. So here we go. Starting off again, alphabetical, of course, is Budding Hope. They have Pineapple Thai, which is an Indica Sativa cross from Thailand. They also have Little Dark Star, which is an Indica. They have Skunk Number 1. Candy Kush, which is OG Kush crossed with Trainwreck. Blue Widow, a great strain. Something called MBS. It's a low THC, high CBD, and it's priced at $15 per It's $15 per eighth. Yeah, I guess that's what it says. $15 per eighth, or $4.30 a gram. Wow. Don't expect to feel much THC, but hopefully the CBD in there will take care of your needs, pain and so forth. Something called Shaman, which is purple crossed with early skunk. Sour Jack, which is lemon sour diesel crossed with Jack Hare. And they also have hash wax and oil and tinctures. That was from Budding Hope. High Desert Relief this week coming up will be Medibud at $12 a gram. Strawberry Delight, an indica at $13. Lemon Tree, an indica at $13 a gram. Fat Fruity, indica at $12 a gram. They also have Sour Diesel and Sweet Tooth at $13 a gram. Minerva Canna Group, Blackwater indica is an indica. Blue Dream is a sativa. Kaboom, I've heard a lot about that, and that's a sativa. Kryptonite is an indica. Omerita is Omerita RX, it's called, and then Purple Kush. Over at New Mexican, you can order starting on Sunday evenings. They will have Trainwreck, Mazer, or Mazar, Shiva Skunk, and as always, all strains are $40 an eighth. They also have pressed Keef hash made from Mazar at $50 for a 2-gram piece. New Mexico Top Organics. Now these guys are rolling. They have about 20 strains coming up this week and for the next few weeks. So I'll read them slow, and this way you can write down the ones that sound interesting to you. They have an Afghan Kush, which is an indica at $13 a gram, including tax. All of their prices are including tax. Alaskan Thunder, Banana Kush, Blackberry, Burmese, Chocolope at $12 a gram, Crunchberry at $14 a gram, Hog at $15 a gram, Jack Hare at $13 a gram, Jack Star at $14 a gram, Medibud, that's a 60% indica, 40% sativa, $13 a gram, OG Kush, indica dominant at $16 a gram, Oracle, sativa at $14 a gram, and then they have their mixed bunch of small buzz mixed flowers from all the strains. They call that Pequeño, and it's an indica sativa blend, and that's $35 for an eighth. They have something called RX, $14 a gram, Sour Chem at $13, Sugar Black Rose, a great strain, at $15 a gram, Top OG, an indica at $15 a gram, and White Widow, 60% sativa, 40% indica at $14 a gram, and X's Gum, an indica at $14 a gram. That's all including tax, and that X's Gum is a high CBD strain. Sacred Garden coming up this week, White Rhino, Tangerine Dream, and D99. They also have some incredible honeycomb earwax, which is a hash oil extraction, and they have hash oil Omicron cartridges, CBD tinctures, and salves and creams and so forth. That's Sacred Garden in Santa Fe. So that's the strain report for this coming week, and I do have a couple articles that I wanted to read to you, at least part of, before Nima calls in a couple of minutes. He can call in at any time, actually. Let me get to that. Okay. And again, don't forget Tuesday night. Let's all hang out and watch the results together. This is an article I'll read some of. This is from the Times of Israel. Israel pushing ahead in medical marijuana industry. Cannabis is administered without much controversy to over 10,000 Israeli patients, among them aging Holocaust survivors who struggle to cope with disease. And this is, well, let's see, this is probably Nima. Let's take that. Hi, you're on Medical Marijuana Radio. Is that you, Nima?
Hey, Larry, it is me. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing well. Welcome to Medical Marijuana Radio. I'm glad that we finally have you as a guest. And again, this is Nima Kia from Cannaceutics in Albuquerque. So, Nima, it's been a great 3 years, absolutely, getting to where we all are today. Give us a little background on why you applied to become one of the providers here in New Mexico, growing great medicine for the patients.
Well, I guess, the number one drive behind my passion was just personal experience, especially with family members that saw extreme relief from using the medicine. So I, had a passion for it before New Mexico even decided to allow it medicinally. So that's kind of where it started, and a friend pointed out that the state was looking for producers, so we took the time, filled out the application, and turned it in.
And luckily enough, you were one of the first 10 here. And like I said earlier in my introduction, I was lucky to be on your board, and I was very happy to be able to cover that spot for you for that first year. So let's just skip all the way ahead now to today, and tell us a little bit about. Well, first of all, give us your strains coming up for this week, because I gave out the strain list, and yours wasn't on there. So what do you have coming up this week for the patients?
Okay, so this week, what we have coming up, we have our menu broken down. Our sativas are going to be Tangerine Dream from Barney's Farm, Liberty Haze, also from Barney's Farm, Lemon Skunk, and OG18, and it's a sativa phenotype.
Oh, nice.
And then for our indicas, we have, K-Train, Kosher Kush, Zero Kush, a strain by the name of Who's Your Daddy?
Okay.
Bubba Kush, and Vanilla Kush.
Nice. Wow.
And then our hybrids this coming week are going to be Pineapple Express, Blueberry Kush, Chem Dog, Critical Plus, and Fruit Spirit.
Fantastic. Well, that's certainly a lot to choose from. That's really great, Nima. So what about some of your other products? You have edibles and tinctures and extractions and so forth?
We do. We have edibles, we do hard candies, chocolates, we do tinctures, which is a honey-based with a minimum amount of alcohol, tincture in a dropper bottle. We do concentrates, extracts, hash. We make a THC capsule that's about 280 milligrams in each dosing. And then we always try to have at least, at the bare minimum, one sativa, one hybrid, one indica on our menu at all times.
Uh-huh.
That's on the list I just read off. Like we've had
about your capsules. You said your capsules are how many milligrams?
280 milligrams
Of THC.
Of THC, yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about that. That sounds very high. Would you compare that to like a chocolate chip cookie or a brownie, or is it?
Well, for what we do for our capsules is we make a cure oil, and that is an extremely concentrated whole plant cannabis extract concentrate, and then we mix that with coconut oil and put them in a capsule. So it is the purest form concentrated. So it's really hard to compare it to, an edible, when we would, comparing it to like cannabis cooked in butter.
Right.
It's quite different.
So is that one dose, that capsule?
It would be 2 capsules would equal that, and it's sold in a package of 2.
I see.
So some patients, a full dose would be taking the 2 capsules, or some patients would just take half of that, which would be the 1 capsule.
Obviously, that would be great for people that need help sleeping and for heavy pain, I'm guessing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's when we've seen the most beneficial responses come about is nighttime, because it really helps you stay under and dealing with major amounts of chronic pain.
Have you done, a couple of weeks ago we had a show in regard to the Phoenix Tears. Have you done any of that for any patients yet?
We have. In fact, what I mentioned just a second ago, we call it cure oil, is the same exact concept of Rick Simpson's oil. That's what we're packaging into the capsules.
Is that a naphtha extraction like Rick Simpson, or do you have your own method for that?
It's really... No, actually, our methods are quite different than Rick Simpson. I would say really simple, but we were fortunate enough to come across the proper chemistry lab equipment required to, do it in a controlled environment. So the end product is really similar. We don't use naphtha, which is what the solvent that Rick Simpson uses. Instead, we use Everclear grain alcohol. So we feel that makes it a more ingestible product. And then we just use good equipment to reflux, oxalate, and then distill and evaporate all the alcohol off.
That's great. Yeah, Everclear obviously is made for internal consumption.
Yeah, so we figure that's the healthier way to go rather than using, a petroleum byproduct. Or
absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your grow methods. Are you in soil, hydro? What are you doing over there at Cannaceutics?
We are in soil. We're doing everything organic. We mix our own batches of soil that we plant in, which pretty much are made up of, we use like Super Soil number 4. We use Prolite to amend it. We add green sand, rock phosphate, alfalfa meal. So we'll mix up our own soil, and then we water with compost tea.
Mm-hmm, nice.
And then we try to pretty much minimize on using any other liquid additives, occasional fish emulsion, a liquid seaweed extract, but yeah, as organic as possible in soil.
That sounds great. What about your curing process? How are you curing? Right now, a lot of outdoor growers obviously pulled their stuff in over the last few weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, and curing is, you can grow fantastic medicine, fantastic cannabis, but curing is like really something important. So tell us a little bit about your cure method.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree. Curing is really important. Generally, what we like to do is once we harvest our plants, we will manicure it at that time and dry it on racks. And then drying process would probably take anywhere between, I would say, 7 to 12 days, depending on humidity, the temperature. So about 7 to 12 days, we'll dry it. At that point, we'll jar it up, glass airtight jars, 1 gallon size, so fairly large jars, and we'll leave a little bit of airspace on the top, and we'll just continue to burp it for about another 1 to 2 week period.
You sort of roll it
once a day.
Roll it around a little bit with that space that's in there, sort of so they don't stick together.
Yeah, exactly, and that was the reason for it, so we can kind of turn it on its side and kind of help fluff it up because it does kind of settle down. If it is generally leaning a little towards the dry side, we'll take like a fresh cannabis leaf and drop it into the jar to help hydrate the cannabis back up. If it's a little on the moist side, then we'll leave the jar open for an extended period of time. But that would be within the burp session, so we might burp it for a 5-minute or leave it open for about an hour, seal it, and then come back to it tomorrow. So I would say anywhere from about a 2 to 3 week, 3 to 4 week process from drying, curing, and then at that point we'll have it ready for sale.
Fantastic. And how much we just went through your list of strains coming up. How much a gram? Are they all the same, or do they vary according to the kind of strain that you have?
No, our prices do vary. We've had patients, even ask if price is a direct correlation with quality, which that is not the case. Our prices vary anywhere between $10 to $14 a gram. Our median would be like right at about $12, $12.50 would be most of our strains. Our slightly more expensive strains, in the $14 price range, are generally because they take 12 to 14 weeks to flower,
right.
And the yield is much less than our other varieties, so we do charge just a little bit more.
Well, sativas, like you say, sativas take a little bit longer to flower out and finish up, and of course that means that it's more expensive to grow because the lights are on longer, and it's just a more expensive plant. Patients don't realize that. You just don't throw seeds in and water, and that's the medicine. It's very tricky. All of us have to find strains that grow well for us and produce well. So it's not as easy as one may think. Let me ask you this: what do you think is the biggest surprise? Something that you didn't think of when you went into this business for the patients of New Mexico. Something that wow, I didn't think that was going to happen.
I probably have felt that way, quarterly since the beginning. It's constantly, things are changing. Nobody's ever done a program like New Mexico, so everybody's learning, I know, up from the state level down to us, and things are constantly changing, so that's always a wow factor when things need to be done differently. And then all the faces that have come and gone throughout the last 3 years has been a wow factor, and it's just hard to, at this point, we have no expectations. Anything can happen, and we just kind of take it day at a time, and we really don't get surprised anymore when we hear
when you say the faces,
shocking news.
You're talking about like all the changeovers at the Department of Health and the MCP, I guess is what you're referring to.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, all the faces at the Department of Health level that have contributed for little or long time and come and gone.
So, are you coming up on Wednesday? For this conditioned meeting?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've definitely been supporting the whole process, from the petition to getting out the information for the train ride and transportation up to Santa Fe and all that good stuff. So yeah, absolutely.
Were you able to listen to our show a couple weeks ago when Dr. Uwelling was on? Did you get a chance to hear that?
I did not hear the show. I did have a few patients that listened, had kind of reported back as far as what was said and what took place on the show, but I did not have an opportunity to listen to the show.
Well, if you get a chance between now and Wednesday, it might be interesting for you, just so you'll sort of get an idea of what the doctor is like before he presents his case. So you might want to listen to that.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah, and everyone else out there, you should listen to it too if you missed it the other day. If you have any questions,
we'll definitely pass that on to our patients as well, so they have the opportunity to listen in.
That would be great. Tell us a little bit about your ordering procedure at Cannaceutics.
We do phone orders, we do online orders, and we have walk-in patients. Our ordering process is basically, either a phone call or getting online. We do not take payment online. Payment's done in person, but we have those three methods set up for ordering, and then medicine's basically turned around within 15-30 minutes, and we do take orders up to 7 days in advance, so patients that are perhaps out of town or something's come up and they're not able to make it in, they'll place an order and we'll hold it up to 7 days.
What about deliveries to outlying areas? Do you get into that, or are you just serving locally?
No, we actually we haven't been doing deliveries ever since we got into our new office. We kind of stopped almost completely. We do have a few patients that we deliver to, but we have absolutely no deliveries other than that. It is something that we would like to get back into, but with the shortage and all the things that have kind of been going on with the program, it's been a difficult time just keeping up with demand. So we've been just trying to focus on ramping that up and taking care of our patients that are here in our near vicinity, and hopefully we can get stabilized, and that goes for all the producers, and they can get stabilized. We can figure out if we need to increase numbers, add more producers so that we can meet the demand of the patients, and then we can try to spread our wings a little more and do deliveries.
Are you at the point now to where you're not running out, or are there a few days a month that unfortunately you do run out?
We, I would say for the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, we have not been running out. We had a nice outdoor harvest, so that's been helping us quite a bit. So for the last 3 weeks, we have not run out of medicine, and we've been doing really great with our medicine right now. But prior to 3 weeks ago, it was weekly basis we were out.
Do you think the demand is sort of leveled off, or do you think it keeps increasing right now?
I think it keeps increasing. I mean, we see new patients quite often. We see a lot of patients, a lot of new patients coming into the door, a lot of old patients that are coming back, and I think demand's kind of the same. I think a lot of producers might have had a really great couple harvests here in the last month or so. I know a lot of patients have probably also, the ones, specifically that grow outdoors, have probably had, their harvest as well. So I know that has kind of helped with the demand of medicine. But I have a feeling that here in the next month or two, I think, producers will start running out again if the Department of Health doesn't either increase producers or increase plant count.
The patients with PPLs, which are thousands of them, I've asked this before to other people, what percentage of them do you think are actually growing their medicine?
I would say probably about 25% of patients with PPLs grow their own medicine. Out of that 25, I would say the percentage that's successful is, much less. I would, we have a lot of patients that have PPLs who have gotten their feet wet and realized, it's either more difficult than they thought it would be to grow their own medicine, whether it's problems with obtaining good strains or pests, environmental conditions and such, or B, it's too expensive for them to get all the equipment and dive into it. So that's kind of how I come up with the 25% of our patients with PPLs. 25% of our patients that have PPLs grow medicine. 75% of them, I think, just applied for it because it was there on the same application and convenient. And,
right.
Really have had no plans of using it and did it as a plan B if they ever.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I really think that much less are actually growing than the Department of Health thinks. I mean, Department of Health, they use the excuse for not either allowing our plant count to go up or adding new producers that the patients are satisfying their own needs, and I certainly don't believe that in any way at all.
And it's unfortunate because they're using that skewed data to predict whether they need more producers to make, to produce medicine, and their numbers are skewed because they are not taking that into consideration.
Right. So what do you think the fix should be? I mean, I thought that they were going to address the shortage in September, but then, of course, that same day, Dr. Catherine Torres resigned or was forced out or whatever happened.
Correct.
And, of course, we're sort of in limbo right now. What do you think is the best way to fix, the fastest way to fix the situation? Because if nothing is done, this is just going to continue as a couple hundred new patients, 200-300 a month get enrolled, new patients get enrolled into the program. What do you think should be done?
Yeah, absolutely correct. And what I think, the fastest method would be to allow the current producers to increase their plant counts and produce more medicine. That would be the fastest way to ramp up medicine right now. But I think, if we continue to grow it, it will be a requirement that we have more producers in the state of New Mexico, and those producers having the ability to produce more medicine. But again, I think everybody kind of agrees with it. There is quite a bit of a learning curve. If the state licensed another 10 producers today, it would be close to 1 year from now for them to be up and running and kind of worked out all their little bugs and have medicine ready to go.
Yep, I agree totally. That you're hitting it right on the nose. I've been saying similar things over the last few months. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the election on Tuesday. What happens with the ASA's lawsuit where they are presenting. On October 16th they presented the science of trying to prove to the DEA and the federal government that cannabis does have medicinal value. The Schedule I thing is just killing. It's just killing us. It's just killing. We can't do. When I say we, I mean the people in the industry can't, and doctors, and can't do. Reports and studies and so forth because it's illegal. It's an illegal drug with no medicinal value as a Schedule I. So they had a pretty good hearing on October 16th, and I had a patient, Michael Krawitz, on my show a couple of weeks ago, or I can't remember, it was last week or week before, but he's one of the patients named in that suit, and he was in Washington and he testified, and that was an interesting show to listen to as well. And they actually, the court, the three judges actually asked for some more information, so we'll have to see where that goes. That's really, really crucial, and it's really time to get that thing descheduled. And then, of course, Nima, on Tuesday, Colorado is very close to legalizing cannabis, as well as Washington. I don't think the Oregon initiative is doing too well from what I'm reading, but it'll be interesting to watch what happens. I think Colorado is going to pass it.
I think there's a really good chance that they will pass it, and we're just going to have to wait and see.
So I'll be moving to Colorado, and
yeah.
No, not at all. No, that would never do that. So, Nima, anything else that you would like to touch on in regard to Cannaceutics and how you're helping the patients? Is there anything we missed?
I think we pretty much
Cool.
touched on everything. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. It was definitely a pleasure being on the show. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Quite a while to
what
get
about?
on here and
How about giving out your website address, and if you want to give out your office or whatever address, so people can come see you?
So for our office address, we just ask that patients call in advance, and we'll verify that they're a patient, and then we'll hand out that information.
Okay.
But as far as our website, we're at www.cannaceuits.org. Let me spell that again. I'm sorry. I think I just butchered that.
All right, start over again.
Yeah, let me...
Take two. Nima, go.
www. It's hard to spell it, when you're not looking at it. CANNACEUTICS.org.
Okay.
Cannaceutics.org. And our number is 505-672-8734.
Fantastic.
Those are
Well,
the best two ways to reach us.
I think everybody should give Cannaceutics a try. They have some great strains. I know that I also grew personally Kosher Kush this summer, and it just came out spectacularly. And so give that a try, people, because it's really a great strain. And Nima, thank you once again for calling in, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Absolutely. I'll look forward to it, Larry, and thank you again.
Thank you, brother. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
You too.
So that's Nima from Cannaceutics down in Albuquerque. Give them a try. I've tasted their medicine before. They're doing a great job. And certainly try their edibles and tinctures and all that other great cannacated medicine that they have down there. Cannaceutics in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We'll be right back.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
Okay, before Nima called in, I started to get into an article out of Israel, so I'm just going to read some of that, and it's pretty interesting because, again, the United States government says that there's no medicinal value to cannabis, and other governments say there are. So this is, you have to excuse some of the pronunciations because I don't speak Hebrew, but some of the names are sort of tough. But this is coming out of Safed, Israel, on an AP story. Just November 3rd. That was yesterday, or today, actually. Moshe Root survived the Holocaust by hiding in a barn full of chickens. He nearly lost the use of his hands after a stroke 2 years ago. He became debilitated by recurring nightmares of his childhood following his wife's death last year. But after I found this, everything has been better, said the 80-year-old as he gingerly packed a pipe with marijuana. Root, who lives at the Hadarim nursing home outside Tel Aviv is one of more than 10,000 patients who have official government permission to consume marijuana in Israel, a number that has swelled dramatically up from serving just a few hundred patients in 2005. The medical cannabis industry is expanding, as well as fueled by Israel's strong research sector in medicine and technology, and notably by government encouragement. Unlike in the United States and much of Europe, the issue inspires almost no controversy among the government and the country's leadership. Even influential senior rabbis do not voice any opposition to its spread, and secular Israelis have a liberal attitude on marijuana. Now, Israel's health ministry is considering the distribution of medical marijuana through pharmacies beginning next year, a step taken only a few countries, including Holland, which has traditionally led the way in Europe in legalizing medicinal uses of the drug. Marijuana is illegal in Israel, but medical use has been permitted since the early 1990s for cancer patients and those with pain-related illnesses such as Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and even, get this everybody, post-traumatic stress disorder. Patients can smoke the drug ingested in liquid form or apply it to the skin as a balm. In a stark contrast, medicinal use is still hotly contested in the United States, with only 17 states and Washington, D.C. permitting medical marijuana for various approved conditions. Now, remember, folks, that I'm reading an Israeli newspaper's article, so they're talking about the United States, in this way. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration says smoked marijuana is not medicine and has not withstood the rigors of science. Well, let's just stop there. I hate to interrupt this, but, has not withstood the rigors of science. Well, that's because they won't let us work with the plant to scientifically to see how great this plant is. So it's really stupid. Anyway, in Europe, Spain, Germany, and Austria, they have allowed or decriminalized some degrees of medical marijuana use. The numbers of patients authorized to use marijuana in Israel is still far lower than the U.S. states where it is legal. Colorado, for example, has 82,000 registered users in a population of 5 million, compared to 10,000 in Israel, with a country of only 8 million people. But Israelis seem enthusiastic about moving the industry forward. When push comes to shove, people see how suffering people are benefiting. I'm sure everyone will get behind it, said Yuli Edelstein, Israeli Minister of Information, and as he toured Israel's largest marijuana growing farm on Thursday and lauded the facility as an example of Israel's technology and medical advancements. The Hadarim nursing home, which encourages medical marijuana use, gives its patients cannabis produced at that farm, tucked away on nearly 3 acres of picturesque Galilee region. The company, one of around 8 government-sanctioned grow operations in Israel, distributes cannabis for medical purposes to almost 2,000 Israeli patients who have a recommendation from a doctor. The cannabis can be picked up at the company's store in Tel Aviv or administered in a medical center. This year, the company also developed a marijuana strain used by a quarter of its customers, said to carry all the reported medicinal benefits of cannabis, but without THC, the psychoactive chemical component that causes a high. The cannabis is instead made with high quantities of CBD, cannabidiol, a substance that is believed to be an anti-inflammatory ingredient which helps alleviate pain. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the future, says Zach Klein, head of research and development at the Tukan Olam, whose logo reads, "This is God's doing, and it's marvelous in our eyes." Anyway, there's more to that article. If you'd like to read it, you can go to the Times of Israel, yesterday's edition, and that's timesofisrael.com. So, Israel is just way ahead of us always, and they're pretty smart over there. Actually, Dr. Raoul Mechoulam discovered THC back in the 60s, and he's also still around now doing tests and studies with the CBD. We have a call. Let's take this. Hi, you're on Medical Marijuana Radio.
Hey, Larry, this is Scott. I told you I was going to give you a call today.
Hey, absolutely, Scott. Welcome to the show. And Scott, you have a website that you're going to be reviewing strains and so forth. Tell us about what you're doing here in New Mexico, please.
I'm going to be doing NewMexicoCannabisReview.com. I'm going to review all of the dispensaries. Try to review all of them. I'm not sure if some of them will allow me to sign up with them, being from Albuquerque.
Well, actually, you can sign up with all 23. No matter where you are, you can be a member of any of the 23 cannabis producers here in New Mexico. So you shouldn't feel that you can't sign up with any of them.
Well, I've already been refused by the grow. Let's see, what was it? Hang on here. I got refused by the one in Placitas because they said they had too many patients already.
Well, that's basically because of the shortage, and I did hear that some producers have cut off registrations until a time to where they can better serve them. So I don't think you should take that personally, but just as an unfortunate side effect of the shortage here in New Mexico.
Yeah. Also, Grassroots wasn't very forthcoming for signing up.
Well, you probably shouldn't tell them what you're doing. Just sign up as a patient, buy their medicine, and review it. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I never did.
Oh, you didn't tell them?
No,
Okay.
they didn't. They still don't know, as far as I'm aware of. I've only done 2 reviews. One was Grassroots so far this year, but this year is just kind of, I'm just getting into it. It's really not going to start until next year. I did a couple of reviews because I was kind of upset that I couldn't find any. Everywhere I went, they were out, or had very little, or they only had certain types, and not really any of it was the types that did me any good.
Did you hear the strain availability list at the top of the show tonight?
Yeah, I did listen, and I couldn't listen to all of it. I was also watching a movie with my family.
Okay, but you can re-listen to the show, about a half an hour after we finish, and of course it'll be on all week. But many producers have a lot of strains this week. Top Organics here in Santa Fe has about 20 different strains, so that would be a good place.
It's the middle of autumn. I would hope that they have strains, since most of them are using the sun to produce.
Well, actually, most of them are actually growing indoors. Some of the producers do have, the ability to grow outdoors during the summertime. Obviously, the grow season here in New Mexico, at least in the northern part of the state, is short. In the southern part of the state, it's a little bit better, but I think most of the medicine is being grown indoors with some outdoors at the same time.
I've heard some of them splitting because they can get a larger harvest.
Sure.
Outdoors.
Oh, absolutely. If you were an indoor grower, whether you're a patient, PPL, or one of the licensed producers, you could actually start your plants indoors and grow them to 4 or 5 feet tall during the winter, and then put them outdoors in May or June and let them go until October. That would be a humongous plant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, growing them outdoors, period, through the spring and then summer and everything else, they get 8, 9, 10 feet. Some of them. Absolutely.
But that's great for the licensed producers. But for the patient producers, you got to remember that the patients can only have 6 ounces in their possession at one time. So that gets a little bit tricky when you're growing a 10-foot plant.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we can only grow 4, and most of us who are growing indoors, who are growing for themselves, are probably growing indoors. I would hope they're growing indoors. That's the safest place to be growing.
Absolutely. So what about you? Are you a patient grower?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
What strains have you chosen?
Well, I'm actually gathering up my strains right now. Right now I have pineapple chunk and I have Hawaiian. And I'm very happy with the Hawaiian. Wow. This last run on my Hawaiian was, wow, sticky, sticky, sticky.
Nice. And, of course, that's probably a pretty heavy sativa, right?
Trying to think. That's actually
That's an indica?
actually an indica.
Really? Okay, very interesting. So why don't you give out your website address again and tell people, how to get there and when you'll be doing some more reviews, and we can hopefully get some patients to log on and use your reviews to help them buy some medicine.
Yeah, well, that's NewMexicoCannabisReview.com, all one word.
New
Or
Mexico.
you can go to NMCannabisReview.com.
Okay. So it's
there's also a available.
I'm sorry, I stepped on you. Let me just repeat. First you said NewMexicoCannabisReview.com, then you said NM. Do you have both of those? Do you have to spell out New Mexico, or is it just NM?
You can do both.
You can do both, so you have both of those sites. Very good.
Mexico and NM Cannabis Review. And to get to the forum, you can go to forum.nmcannabisreview.com.
Fantastic. I think that's definitely needed. I thank you for getting started with something like that, and I look forward to reading some of your reviews as well. So, Scott, anytime you have something to say, we're here every Saturday night. Give us a call, and we'll be glad to put you on the air.
Yeah, I actually have somebody in there started up a grow journal. He's a friend of mine. Also, too, I ran into problems trying to post my site on other forums. It was frustrating. I got banned at several of the more common forum sites on the internet.
Welcome to the club, my friend. I was banned from Cannabis.com, and I was, and the guy wouldn't even tell me why. And I was just promoting the program here in New Mexico. I was answering a lot of people's questions. And so at the end of every show, when I say fcannabis.com, that's because they banned me from there for really no reason. So I guess they just don't like anybody promoting anything, even though it's for sick people. It's sort of ridiculous. So I do understand your frustration.
Well, they sit there and they talk about networking and helping the cause and all that, but what they really want is somebody to pay them for advertisement. That's what I got. He sent me a stupid email saying that, if you want to, if you'd like to advertise, here's where you go to get our rates.
Uh-huh.
And I was totally pissed off. I mean, and then 420 Magazine did the same thing. A couple of the other forums did too. I was really, really upset. And I'm a 15-year web designer, so I'll just stick my own forum up. I don't need your stupid forums, so watch me.
Absolutely. So give out the forum address so that maybe we can make your website the New Mexico forum that we need, where we can communicate with each other. What's your forum website address?
Forum.nmcannabisreview.com.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so that's Scott from New Mexico Cannabis Reviews, and I appreciate you calling in tonight, Scott, and we'll talk to you sometime on a future show. Have a good night, buddy. Thanks for calling in. So we will be right back.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
So we'll be right back after this short tune to sign off and say goodnight. So here we go.
I'll be a man. I'll understand. do my best to take good care of you. Yes, I will. You'll be my queen. I'll be your king. And I'll be your lover too. Yes, I will. Dairy damn green, color of my dream, a dream that's daily coming true. I tell you, rain days through, I will come to you and take you off your many charms. And you look at me with eyes that see and melt into each other's arms. And so I come to be the one who's always standing next to you. Reach out for me so I can be alright. The one who's always reaching out for you. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. You'll be my queen. I'll be your king. And I'll be your lover too.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me.
Well, that was a great show tonight with Nima from Cannaceutics. Give them a try down there. I've tasted their medicine. It's really excellent, so give them a shot. And next week, well, before next week, don't forget that Tuesday night we'll be live right here on Medical Marijuana Radio, covering all the legalization issues and the national election for president. So tune in at 6 o'clock on Stickcam, www.stickcam.com/MMJRadio, or right here on MMJRadio.com. And don't forget, Wednesday, 1 p.m., Runnels Building, right here in Santa Fe. Let's keep this doctor from taking our medicine away from us. I want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. And again, fcannabis.com, F Wells Fargo and Bishop's Lodge for not being very friendly to medical cannabis. We'll be back next week and again on Tuesday. Feel well, everybody.
The medical marijuana.
Shalabah.
Shalom.
Good night, everybody.